There's a rather curious side effect to the process of what we call waking up. When you begin to see through the grand, cosmic joke, when you begin to feel, not just as an idea but as a direct fact, that you are not a separate, lonely little stranger in this universe, but a feature of it, an expression of the whole thing. A very peculiar thing happens to your social life. It begins quite simply to dissolve. Your circle of acquaintances, your friends, your social obligations, they begin to thin out. Not through any malice, not through any sudden dramatic falling out. It is more like a change in frequency. You have, shall we say, begun to tune your radio to a station that is no longer playing the same music as everyone else's, and where they hear a marvelous, frantic, and terribly important symphony, you are beginning to hear silence. And where you are beginning to hear a very subtle, very quiet music between the notes, they just hear static. Now we must be absolutely clear about one thing. This is not a matter of superiority. The instant you begin to feel that your spiritual awakening has made you better than others, you are in the deepest sleep of all. You have simply fallen for the oldest trick in the ego's book. You have traded your pinstripe suit for a monk's robe or your bank account for a meditation cushion. But you are still playing the same old dreary game of I'm one up on you. No, the reason for this great quiet separation is far more interesting than that. You see, most of what we call human society, what we call friendship, relationships, networking, community, is a form of mutual hypnosis. It is a vast, complicated, and utterly marvelous play. And everyone has agreed unconsciously to learn the script, to wear the costume, and above all, to never, ever admit that it is a play. We have all agreed that this is serious and that is important. We have agreed that getting ahead is good and falling behind is bad. We have agreed that our tribe, our flag, our set of beliefs is right, and the other tribe, the other flag is wrong, or at least a bit misguided. We have agreed on what constitutes a successful life, what is funny, what is tragic, and what one is supposed to say when the elevator doors open. It is a performance, a magnificent, complex, and sometimes very beautiful game. But what happens when you, by some strange grace, or perhaps a shock, or just by looking very, very quietly, wake up? What happens when you are on the stage in the middle of a terribly dramatic scene and you suddenly realize, my goodness, this is a stage. That's just a cardboard set, and all these other people are actors just like me. Well, you stop believing in the play. You can still appreciate it. You can admire the passion, the costumes, the drama, but you can no longer lose yourself in it. You can no longer suffer from it. You can no longer believe that the plot is real, and the first thing that happens is you forget your lines. Your friend comes to you, as they have 100 times before, to play the "Isn't my boss a terrible person" game, and this is a marvelous game. It requires two players. One person recites their grievances, and the other person must validate them, express outrage, and perhaps offer a few grievances of their own. It is a wonderful ritual of mutual hypnosis, and it reinforces the feeling of us, the good put-upon workers, versus him, the bad, foolish boss. But this time you can't do it. You listen. But you are not just hearing the story. You are seeing the pattern. You are seeing that your friend is not really suffering from their boss. They are suffering from their resistance to what is. They are suffering from an idea in their head of how the boss should be. You see that their story, their narrative, is the source of their suffering. So you don't offer the expected line, "He said what? That's awful." Instead, perhaps you say nothing. You just listen in silence, or you ask a real question, something that cuts through the script, like, what would it feel like to just let that wash over you? And your friend is baffled. You have failed to play your part. You have ruined the scene. This, you must understand, is not experienced by your friend as enlightenment. It is experienced as being a bad friend. You are perceived as cold, detached, unsupportive, or just weird. The bedrock of most social interaction is pretense. It is the art of the fine. How are you is not a question. It is a social password. The correct reply is, fine, thanks, how are you? This exchange is a ritual. It is designed to avoid any actual authentic contact. It is a mutual agreement to not go any deeper. But the awake person has lost their taste for pretense. It is not a moral choice. It is a physical one. Pretense, small talk, gossip, and the endless chattering performance of being a personality. It all begins to feel like eating cardboard. It is dry, it is tasteless, and it is utterly unnutritious. You can't do it anymore. Your organism rejects it. So when someone asks, "How are you?" you might actually pause, you might look inside, and you might say, I feel a little agitated this morning. Isn't that curious? And poof, the game is broken, the hypnosis is shattered, and the other person is terrifically uncomfortable. They wanted the password. You gave them the truth. You find you can no longer laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You can no longer nod in agreement with opinions that you see are based on pure, unexamined fear. You can no longer participate in the great human pastime of gossip, the ritual of building a self by diminishing another. This is not because you're trying to be a good person. It is because you see with absolute clarity that the person you're gossiping about is you. You see that in the great cosmic game, there is only one of us wearing all the masks, and to slander another is just to slander yourself. Your friends begin to notice this. They notice you have become unreliable. You are no longer a reliable co-conspirator in the game of us versus them. You are no longer a reliable audience for their personality performance. You are no longer a reliable partner in the mutual hypnosis. This leads to a profoundly, and for many, a terrifyingly new development. You become comfortable with silence. The social game is noisy. It is a constant, frantic, verbal ping-pong. We must fill the space. The moment a gap appears in the conversation, panic. We rush in with an observation about the weather, a piece of news, a recycled opinion. Why? Because in the silence, the game stops. The play pauses. And in that gap, the vast, mysterious, and slightly terrifying what is begins to leak in. In the silence, we are just here. And we are not sure who here is. The character we are playing has no lines. And so we chatter to keep the silence at bay. We use noise to defend ourselves from reality. But you, the awake person, you have stopped being afraid of the silence. You have, in fact, begun to fall in love with it. You have discovered that the words were never the connection. The words were the distraction. The real connection, the real communion between two people, happens in the silence. It is a shared presence. It is the music, not the notes. So you sit with a friend, and the chatter dies down, and you just sit. You are perfectly content. You are in communion, and your friend is in agony. They are hearing static. They think, he is angry with me. She is bored. The friendship is over. I must say something interesting. Your peace is their panic. Your frequency is not theirs. This is not wrong. It is not bad. It is just different. Like oil and water, they cannot mix. And then there is the great game of purpose. The mutual hypnosis of society is based on the idea of getting somewhere. We are all on a great cosmic treadmill. We are climbing a ladder. The point of life is to get to the next rung. The point of this moment is to serve the next moment. Get the grade. To get the degree, get the degree. To get the job. Get the job. To get the promotion. Get the promotion. To get the bigger house. Get the bigger house. To get the respect of the neighbors. To get to retirement. To to what? To finally get to a place where you can relax and enjoy being alive. But you, the awake person, have seen the supreme joke of this. You have realized that the only moment you ever have to be alive is this one, and this moment, is the destination. The point of the dance is dancing, not getting to the end of the dance. And so you have stepped off the treadmill. Now you are sitting by the side of the road, just being. You are here, and the rest of the world, all your old friends, are sprinting past you. They are frantic. They are stressed. They are on their way to happiness. And they shout at you as they run by. What are you doing? You're wasting time. You're falling behind. You have no ambition. You could say, but I've arrived. I'm here. Where are you all going? But they wouldn't hear you. They are too busy running. This creates an enormous conversational disconnect. Your friend is stressed, obsessed with a project at work, and they need you to agree that this project is terribly important. And you can't. You see it as a game, a fascinating game, but a game. You can see that whether they get the promotion or fail the project, they will still be themselves. They will still be here. The promotion will not save them. The failure will not destroy them. Because the person who could be saved or destroyed is the ghost. But you cannot say this. If you say it doesn't really matter, they will hear, you don't care about my life. So you are silent, you listen, you offer presence, but you cannot offer the one thing they crave, validation of their anxiety. You cannot collude with them that their game is real. And then there are the victim stories. This is perhaps the strongest social glue we have. We bond over our wounds. I am the person who was wronged by my parents. I am the person who was betrayed by my lover. I am the person who is oppressed by the system. This victim story gives the I ghost tremendous power. It gives it definition. It gives it righteousness. It gives it identity. And when your friend recites their victim story, the script demands that you validate it, that you agree that they were wronged, that you join them in their outrage, but you see something else. This does not mean that bad things didn't happen. It does not mean that injustice isn't real. But you see that clinging to this story, identifying with this wound, is the source of all the present suffering. It is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It is like keeping the wound infected, refusing to let it heal because the scar has become who you are. You see that their true self, their vast, awake, free self, is not a victim. It cannot be victimized. So you listen. You offer compassion for the pain, but you cannot offer validation for the story. And this is often experienced as the ultimate betrayal. You have failed to take their side because you have realized there are no sides. This us versus them mentality is the core of the social game. My team, my political party, my country, my religion. It is the easiest way to build an ego. Just find an enemy. The awake person cannot do this. They see the fundamental unity beneath the apparent separation. They see that the enemy is just you in a different mask. When you refuse to get outraged at the other tribe, when you refuse to demonize the enemy, you become unreliable as a tribe member, and friendship for most is a tribal affair. This brings us to the heart of the matter, the great and beautiful paradox of it all. The awake person finds themselves less lonely, but more alone. Loneliness is the pain of the I ghost. It is the ache of the separate fragment that feels cut off from the whole. It is a vacuum. It is a need. It is the ghost needing other ghosts to validate its own existence. Please tell me I'm real. Please distract me from my terror of not being. Aloneness is the joy of the whole. It is the recognition that you are not a separate fragment at all. You are the entire cosmos, looking out of this particular set of eyes. You are not lonely for the ocean because you are the ocean waving. This aloneness is not a vacuum, it is a fullness, it is a completeness. And so the desperate, needy, clinging quality leaves your relationships. You stop using people. You stop needing friends to complete you. You stop needing them to validate you. You stop needing them to save you from yourself. You can be with them fully. You can enjoy their company immensely, but you do not cling to it. You can be without them fully. You can be in solitude and not feel lonely. And this no-need love is the most terrifying thing in the world to an ego that lives on need. The old friendship was a transaction, a contract. I will support your performance if you will support mine. I will agree to your illusions if you will agree to mine. I'll need you if you'll need me. This is a very stable arrangement, but your love has become unconditional. It is no longer a transaction. It is a radiation. It is like the sun. It shines. It does not ask the flowers to shine back. It just shines. And this unconditional love is deeply mistrusted by the ego ghost. If you don't need your friend, they feel powerless. If you don't get jealous, they think you don't care. If you don't take their side, they think you are a traitor. If you don't mourn with them in their story, they think you are cold. You are offering them love, but they are still demanding validation. And these are not the same thing. You see, in a very real sense, you have died. The person they knew, the character you both agreed you were, is gone. That person was a performance, a collection of habits, beliefs, wounds, and stories, and you have seen through it. You have stepped off the stage. So who are they supposed to be friends with? You are present. You are compassionate. You are here, but you are no one. You are not a somebody anymore. You are just life. And this is why the circle shrinks. It is not a problem to be solved. It is not a tragedy to be mourned. It is simply what happens when you stop playing the games that you can no longer believe in. The awake person does not force their insights on anyone. That is the worst form of ego. The spiritual ego is the most insufferable of all. No, you don't preach. You don't convert. You don't try to wake up your friends. You know that everyone is exactly where they need to be. The universe is unfolding perfectly as them. You simply live. You live from this new frequency. You live from this silence. You live from this authenticity. And you trust. You trust that this frequency will attract whatever and whoever is ready for it. The friendships that do survive, or the new ones that form, are of an entirely different kind. They are not based on mutual hypnosis. They are based on mutual presence. They are based on a shared love for the silence. They are based on a shared seeing of the great cosmic joke. These friendships are few, but they are unbelievably deep. They are not two ghosts validating each other. They are two presences meeting. But in the end, the question of how many friends you have becomes laughably irrelevant. It is a question that only the I ghost would ask. It is a score-keeping question. How many friends do I have? The entire I who asks the question is the illusion, when you know that you are not the lonely separate wave, but the entire single boundless ocean. How? Pause. How could you ever be alone? You are all one. The entire universe is your companion, the tree, the cloud, the stranger passing on the street. It is all You, playing all the parts. You are the infinite, wearing the mask of the finite, just for the fun of it. And once you really know that, the question of who to be friends with rather dissolves into the joy of simply being.